So, hi everyone. Please welcome Klondike to the stage.
Well, let's talk about telephony networks today. This is going to be amazing. So before we start, how many of you did manage to register his phone? Nobody has been using the DECT telephony network here? OK, only one person. That's amazing. Well, for those of you that don't know it, this is basically the second year that we are having an internal telephony network. You can call a lot of people here. We have special phone numbers, for example, for contacting the Orga. We have phone numbers for contacting the CERT team. And, well, we'd like to say that it worked really well, but to be sincere, it worked better last year. So first things first, please, if by any reason you have found one of the 4 antennas that we are missing, they are model RFP43, they look more or less like this. Please contact us immediately because we have been looking like crazy for them. There was also something really nice growing in me. This is basically a really nice virus of the, a really nice picture of the pneumonia bacteria. That's the reason why it took me long to come, and that sucks because I am basically the one that has most experience on the team, which meant that Noor, who is over there, and Omni had to try to solve what they could. Basically, Raccoon came to my place before he was coming here. He took like the fucking box with every single piece of equipment we were going to bring here. I was like, but maybe we should test it. And no, we didn't have enough time to test the whole thing, so he came here and had to fight against it. Well, we were also doing some planning. We got this really nice network map that you might recognize from the prior talk. It didn't look that bad. You see, we were basically making the math. OK, we are going to put one access point here. We are going to put another one here. Maybe another one here, another one here, and another one here. But we lost 4 of the access points, and the other 3 we had were supposed to be spares for the next 7 years, which meant that at the end we have had basically 1 here, 2 here, and 1 somewhere in a tree over there. So, well, the thing is that everything looked really nice on this really flat map. Yeah, well, this is basically how the place looks like. It's, as you can see, it's one of these shades. It's basically a small hill. The difference is not that big. I mean, the highest hills are probably around 5-7 meters compared to the surrounding terrain. But they are made of really, really, really highly reflective material. And there is no way the waves of the telephony network can go through them. We were also having some other interesting trouble until I managed to get healthy enough to be able to come. We were trying to configure the antennas. And, well, if you want to configure antennas, don't use Qubes. There is apparently some really weird things going with the way in which the Java application used to configure the antennas handles networking that makes Qubes totally dislike it. And, well, it was basically impossible to get things working with Qubes. So, well, starting the LAN, we did a small initial deployment. We had 3 clusters. That is basically 3 independent DECT networks sharing the same database of registrations, which meant that it was impossible to roam from one area to the other. We only had basically 2 power injectors. A little bit later, we found the 3rd one. We were supposed to have 6 of them, actually. We only had 4 antennas, of which 1 was the only one surviving from last year, and the other 3 were supposed to be spares. And roaming was literally not working. I mean, you could start a call in the middle of the general area, start walking half the way over there on the foot area, and at some point your call would just cut because you would lose the connection to the prior antenna and be unable to move to the antenna that was on the other area. The reason why we couldn't get roaming working then was because the antennas need to see each other in order to be able to do the handling of the call from one area, from one of the antennas to the other. But, well, when everything seemed lost, I mean, we had basically no coverage here on the speakers area. We had no coverage on the noisy area, no coverage on the bar. Well, we had a lot of help. The people of the NOC were really nice, provided switches with power over Ethernet that allowed us to actually power some of the antennas, despite we only had 2 injectors. We had 2 really nice people climbing trees in order to place the antennas as high as possible. I definitively was not able to do that. So here is a big shout out for Omni and Saria, which actually were the ones that were climbing the fucking trees in order to place the antennas as high as possible. Most of the deployment was actually initially made by Raccoon over there and by Omni, whilst I was sitting on my tent trying not to die. And well, ADOT was really nice because he provided us really long cables that we could use in order to have the antennas as high as we could. And the result was that, well, we could manage to improve coverage significantly. I mean, we at least could cover all the area around the bar and so on. And you could even roam from the general camping area up to the areas around here with the food area and the speaker stand. And against, you can actually get a little bit of coverage here. It's really bad. You probably need to get out of the tent to take the call. But, well, at least you can notice that somebody is calling you. Then we went on to registration hell. Registration hell is basically the procedure of picking up your really old phones from the early 90s and trying to get them to work with our network. Its phone works in a totally different way. And for most of the modern phones, you can use a thing called wildcard registration. Basically, you just register a user on the system, get the phone, put the PIN code, and then the phone gets registered in the system. But you know, a lot of phones did refuse to register, especially older gigaset phones. And for that, you had to get the identifier of the phone and do basically what could be called a MAC-based registration, or what we call an IP registration. The problem is that the phones don't give you the IP. They give you a different hexadecimal number called the IPUI that has to be converted into the IP using a special tool. And another problem we had is that actually some phones only allow 4 digits. So at some points, we had to basically reconfigure the network to try to register with 4 digits instead of 8. And even with that, some phones, in particular Doro phones, didn't even register. And another problem we had is that some phones require really good signal in order to be able to do the first registration. And this year, we didn't have an antenna just on the POC. We had a closed antenna hanging somewhere in a tree, but that at some times was not powerful enough. And that's the reason why approximately 1 out of every 3 phones we tried to register failed at doing so. And well, thanks to Raccoon, we also have some stats that we can show. We have a total of 856 calls. 38 users were registered. That's basically 38 phones like this one. Up to 4 calls were made concurrently, which is really nice because that's basically the limit an antenna can support. I mean, each antenna can support up to 8 concurrent calls, but that basically means 8 phones participating in a call. So if you call from one phone to another, you are basically using 2 slots out of the 8 that are available. As you can see, well, the number of calls has been increasing over time. I guess that is probably in direct proportion to the number of phones that were registered. And today we have already done 180, but we hope that this number will increase. And we had a token in our telephony network, and apparently 7 people have managed to find the token. Actually, one of them came asking if he could loan one of our phones in order to try to find it. There are a lot of things we can do better. The first thing is that next year we are asking Orga if we can get really huge poles on top of which we can place antennas, probably something like 10 or 15 meters at least, so that we can get direct line of sight between the antennas and between the phones and antennas. Hopefully, we will be able to have enough time to look for a sponsor to have better equipment. That was the objective last year, so you can see how well we follow it up on it. We will try to keep docs on how to do registrations so that when we find those hard to register phones more than one time, we can probably speed up the procedure. This involves that probably we will need to have more people doing registration so that somebody can sit down and write the docs for the hard phones. There is a really nice app on the internet to convert a PUI to TP, so I will probably sit down and try to make a small JavaScript code that can do the transformation. Yeah, next year we are testing things before we leave. I don't care if that means that you will get 2 hours late to your destination, but we are testing things before we leave. Yep. We are also going to try to track equipment better, because one of the reasons why we lost 3 of the antennas were that they were placed on a box somewhere. Then boxes were moved from Bornholm to I don't know where, and the box is totally gone. And apparently we are not the only team that has lost equipment. And yeah, hopefully next year there will actually be SIP support. Our objective at least is try to collaborate with the Network Operations Center so that, for example, places like the bar or the info desk can have a proper SIP phone, and then we can avoid having struggles with coverage in these areas. For example, the info desk is a really problematic area because it's basically, as you know, a cabin made of metal. We actually did place antenna on top of it, and the coverage was horrible, amongst other things, because, well, tech networks don't really like reflective environments. So we had a lot of shadow paths going onto the phones. And oh, yes, I had forgotten to put it. So, yeah. We also plan to do some pre-registration. You probably saw that we had a path. But if we have enough time, we want to work on making a proper tool that will handle that, and that will hopefully save us enough time. So, well, here is the list of people that we are really thankful to. The order is basically, well, alphabetic, almost. ADOT, thanks a lot for the cables. Klondike, well, I thank myself because, you know, I have to be on that list anyways. Omni, thanks a lot for going hard on deploying the access points instead of doing the mesh network stuff. For me, the funnest part was being on the bottom of the tree singing songs like Fala Fala, Rubeta Trucan Comaner, Fala Fala Fala. Yeah. Thanks a lot to the organization team for all the support that they have been providing us. And oh, that actually should be reading NOC team, because the POC team is already named here. Thanks a lot to the guys at the NOC for all the help that we got from you. Thanks, Raccoon, for taking all the equipment here. Actually, I should be thanking Raccoon, Omni, and Team Gremalmo on the bottom, because they basically set up the POC tent whilst I was trying to survive on my place. Thanks a lot, Stemit, because if you have a loaner phone, most chances are that it was Stemit or Stemit's mom that got it and donated it to us for us to work.
She got 10 phones for us.
Yeah, Stemit got 10 fucking phones for us. Rainier, is Rainier? No, he's on the info desk. Well, he has been supporting the team since the first year. He was helping us a lot with the coverage tests. So that's.
Up on the roof by the workshop area.
Yeah, exactly. Ulbus is also on that list because he has been trying to help us with the SIP stuff, although we didn't get it working this year. And we could wish that Saria was here. I think he decided to hide away. But he's been basically our main contact with the NOC team. He has been setting up all the stuff on the switches that we needed. He was also climbing some of the trees along with Omni over there. Yeah. So we should really thank Saria for all the help that he provided us to set up the system and the network. But, well, especially I think it's important to thank the most important members of the POC team, or basically the reason why we come here every year. Nikki and Smulan, which are the really nice dogs you might have met if you have tried to come there to register the phones. So, well, they are fluffy, you know, they are understanding. They are there to be pet when you are really stressed out, so you can relax and focus on something else. And it's really nice having them year after year. So, well, I'm wondering if any of you has any questions or anything that you guys want to have answered. No questions? Amazing. Then that means that I get to break free. Cool. See you guys.